Hey everyone, Steve Fernandez here with this week's edition of Market Insights. Today I want to talk to you about why I think it is a great time to buy the Hack ETF. It's a cybersecurity ETF, and I don't think that there has been a better time when you look at what's going on over in Russia with the conflict they're having with Ukraine. And that's coming in the form of an armed invasion, but also on the cyber front, they're deploying software right now in Ukraine that is disrupting their system. So before we get started, I ask that if you haven't already and you're tuning in regularly, definitely subscribe to our channel. And if you like this video, hit the like button. It helps us grow our channel to more people. So as I mentioned, I think that it's a great time to buy the Hack ETF. I'm sure you've seen these headlines floating around about the invasion going on in Russia. It's more so been headlines about the armed invasion, but you may have seen articles about how Russia is deploying software that's wiping data from several Ukrainian government entities' websites. So this can be potentially a systemic threat when you think about any country or company that does business with Ukraine. Once Russia infiltrates their systems, they can potentially use that to pivot to other countries and companies' systems. And Russia has had a precedent of cybercrime in the past, even here in the US, which I'll cover here in a bit. So you've probably seen as well that the market has been getting hammered on this news. We've seen tech stocks especially, and the entire market for that matter, drop over the last couple of weeks. But today on this official invasion news, we're actually seeing cybersecurity stocks rally. I looked earlier, they were up about 4% today on Thursday. But that's not true for the rest of the market. You can see here in this chart that the fear and greed index measured by CNN hit its lowest point since 2020, March 2020, back in that COVID panic selling that we saw. So just goes to show that the market is really in peak fear, and sometimes that does actually create the best buying opportunities across the board. Cybersecurity in particular doing well today. Obviously that does tie into the headlines that we're seeing about Russia's cybercrime going on. But also it's likely the market gearing up for a systemic spread of cybercrime to other countries, and in particular the US. So the Russian government, it's hard to say exactly who, but Russia actors have had recent cyber attacks on the US, two major for that matter in the last couple of years. The first being SolarWinds in 2020. So how that worked was Russia hacked into SolarWinds, which is a provider of cybersecurity for companies and government entities, and they planted malicious code after they hacked SolarWinds. So when SolarWinds went to push out their software to their customers, it transferred that malicious code unknowingly to its customers. And by doing that, it opened its customers up to data breaches. And also that malicious code allowed Russia or a Russian actor to spy on these customers and even plant new software. So it really opened the door, kind of like a spiral effect, to what Russia was able to do in terms of cybercrime. So we always have to be on the lookout. Businesses know that this is a threat, and it really adds demand for cybersecurity across the board. The next, and you may have seen this as well, the next cyber attack that actually happened last year in 2021, it was back in May. One of America's largest fuel pipelines was shut down for 5 days. This created a huge shortage of fuel across 11 states. I saw that at one point, North Carolina, 65% of their gas stations did not have fuel. You can think about how this would disrupt our way of life. We use fuel daily, and that can be a disruption that people don't think about. And you can take that threat a step further. What if a foreign entity or cybercrime organization was able to infiltrate our power grid, shut down our power grid, or our wireless system? We won't be able to communicate with each other. And those are things that may not seem like, wartime threats or conflict type behavior. But as society evolves and becomes more digital, the the magnitude of these threats and their consequences are amplified. So US companies know this, the US government knows this. We saw a US FBI cyber official earlier this week warn businesses and government organizations about potential ransomware deployment by Russia. All ransomware is malicious software that is aimed to steal data or publish data, basically take data for the hacker's own interest, or even create a situation where systems are entirely disrupted. And they generally want some sort of ransom, hence ransomware, to resolve the issue. Conflicts aside, the Russia situation aside, I think that there has never been a better time, at least in the last couple of years, to buy into cyber security stocks. When you look at valuations across the board, they've contracted a lot. A lot of this was just due to selling across the board in financial markets. We saw the Nasdaq practically touch a 20% drawdown here this week, which would have been a bear market. I think it didn't exactly touch 20, but it came close. But cybersecurity stocks did touch down at a 20% drawdown, and that's officially a bear market. I think we're going to bounce from this point. So with valuations lower and demand likely higher, you got to think that cybersecurity stocks are an attractive buy right now. As I mentioned before, I think one of the best ways to gain exposure to cybersecurity stocks is with the hack ETF or with ETFs in general. So the hack ETF is ETFMG, the prime cybersecurity ETF. It's a great way to get exposure to a basket of US cybersecurity companies. If you look at this table here, you can see the top 10 holdings as of Thursday, February 24th. And these are some of the bigger cybersecurity companies that you've probably heard of some of them. Now, most of these companies are going to be business facing. They offer cybersecurity solutions for businesses. But there's also some consumer-facing brands mixed in here. You can see NortonLifeLock, for example. A lot of people probably know about that one. But all in all, I really think that you have to take a look at cybersecurity stocks. This ETF will give you that exposure. I want to stress that we never want to see conflict between any organization or any country, and you have to just wish and hope for the well-being of people. But sometimes you have to use these opportunities and deploy your money in a way that protects you and helps you make money. And I think cybersecurity stocks give you that opportunity right now. So thanks for tuning in to this week's edition of Market Insights. Again, if you made it this far and you're watching our videos, definitely subscribe. If you like this video, hit the like button and tune in to next week's edition.